The Wichita Mountains of southwest Oklahoma aren't just ancient, they're watched. For decades, something has been reported moving through these hills, something locals call the Wichita Wildman. Footprints, sounds, encounters that never quite add up. Today, I'm not here for legends or stories. I'm here to see if Sasquatch is actually leaving evidence behind. Greetings and salutations. I'm your host, Colby.cheese. Right now, we are standing in historic Medicine Park, but today, we are going to be searching for the Wildman of the Wichita Mountains. Before we begin our journey today, I would like to establish just a little bit of information about the Wildman of the Wichita Mountains, probably known to you as a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch. For generations, there have been stories about the Wildman that lives in the Wichita Mountains. That's why I stopped in Medicine Park. This is one of the closest towns to the mountains and also the refuge, so we could possibly be able to get some stories from locals around here about the supposed Wildman. And here is a Bigfoot Sasquatch statue, also known as the Wichita Wildman. It is in the middle of winter right now in Oklahoma, so the majority of this little area is closed or not as highly functioning as it is in the spring or the summertime. But I have a good feeling we might be able to bump into some people that could be able to give us some information about this elusive creature. Here we have another Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Wildman. We might be getting closer than what we actually think. Here we have a sign of the Wichita Mountains. We're going to be visiting several of these locations here today. Well, I did try to stop at some of the shops behind me and talk to the locals about the Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Wildman. But unfortunately, nobody really wanted to say anything on camera, which, I understand exactly where they're coming from. You don't want to be labeled as crazy or anything like that. But that is not going to stop us one bit at all from trying to find some evidence and looking around for this Wildman for ourselves. So let's go on ahead and head over to our next spot, and I will see you guys there. Behind me is the parallel forest. There is a few trails that go through here. There's also rumors of witchcraft and things like that that happen on the other side of the forest. And there's a story about an occult altar that you can be able to find as well. But we're going to go inside and see if we can be able to do some investigation for ourselves to see if we can be able to find the Wildman. We are now entering the parallel forest. And the reason it's called the parallel forest, as you can see, all of these trees are parallel, congruent, or adjacent to each other. One of the reasons that the Wildman could be here is because all of this is on a refuge. So there's no hunting, anything of that sort. You cannot build in this area at all. And there's also some government stuff that is around. So there is a good proportion that is blocked off by fences that nobody can be able to get into. So if you wanted to be in a secluded area with no one to bother you, this is perfect prime example. Buffalo, deers, well, let's say bison instead of buffalo, just walk free here. They will walk right out in front of the middle of your vehicle, and you're at their leisure. So you have to let them go on by. As you can see, we are getting much deeper into the parallel forest. There's some scat down here as well. That's definitely bison, not what we're looking for or any type of evidence like that. And it's starting to get pretty thick in here. And see, I'm originally from the Appalachian Mountains in North Carolina, and the woods just have something mysterious about it. There's always an unknown answer to stuff and a lot of mystery sometimes. And it's usually not just animals, but you can just feel the energy yourself, especially when you're in a secluded holler and you can just feel the difference in the atmosphere. All right, we have pressed in a lot more into the forest. And the sad thing about this forest, believe it or not, there's been many people that have come out here and tragically ended their life just because they wanted to be in a secluded area. There used to be tape that would start at some of these trees so people could be able to find their way back through the forest. But over the years, there's a small trail that actually cuts through here now. This used to not exist, but over time, I'm pretty sure that the wildlife committee or whatever made sure to install something like this so it's easier to be able to get out of this place. Because if you see behind me, all of these trees look identical. And you can be able to get lost in here super easy. And we have made it out of the forest on this right-hand side. This actually looks like a bedding area here. You can tell the bison or probably even bear and stuff come and call this home just because everything is pressed down through here. And check this out. Here's a dry riverbed. Once upon a time, there was a creek, river, that ran through here, but now that is completely non-existent. I want to actually work my way down this creek bed, and we're kind of getting off the trail here, but that's what we want to do if we're going to be trying to find our own evidence of this wild man that lives out here. You can see how secluded all of this is. There's no one here to bother you whatsoever. You don't have to worry about being hunted or population. You're just completely free. We've got some tracks right through here. I'm not a tracker by any means, but this could easily be elk or deer. And it's, of course, wintertime, and it's below freezing today. So there's some ice for you, and a little bit of it is starting to melt. We're going to follow these tracks. Oh, and we've got some canine looking tracks as well right here. Could be a wolf, most likely, or coyote. That is very possible as well. Oh, I heard something over to our right-hand side. And we've come across some water over here. Look at this beautiful rock that we've got. I'm gonna try to come over this way so we can be able to cut out some of this sun getting into our shot. Look at that. So yeah, it looks like whatever game follows this trail down through here and comes to drink from this area. You can see the ice that is formed on top of the water here. A lot of movement in these trees as well. See how far I can kind of get. That gets really steep that way. I would like to be able to make it over there to the end. Now we're climbing up the side of a facing here. One of the little mountain sides. We kind of have to watch out for cacti and other stuff like that, because we can get poked pretty easily. And at least we're doing this in the winter. We really don't have to worry about rattlesnakes. They can be pretty bad and thick, especially the area that we are in right now. Okay, I think I found a way around the rock. As you can see, this is the backside of that rock. We got some more scat over here. There's definitely something over there moving in the bushes. But that's the way around. Then it eventually cuts through here as well. Now we're officially on the backside of this rock facing. And it looks like some type of game trail pushes through this way, as you can see by the scat that's on the ground and the way that this dirt is moved off to the side, and some of this high grass. Looks like we found another creek bed that runs through here as well. Some kind of track runs through here. So right now we are totally off the trail, and that's kind of where we want to be. See if we can find any type of evidence, or maybe this elusive creature itself. Let's go across this way. Whoa. Here we go. Perfect for not wanting to be found or seen. Got another little bit of creek bed, runs up through this way. Oh wow, looks like there's a small pond or something right up this way. Gosh, this rock is something to walk through. But like I said, thankfully, we're here in the winter and we don't have to worry about snakes, because this right here is just an oasis for our belly crawling friends. Well, it looked like a pond from the distance back that way, but it's just a small little spot of water. But if we look down here, we have all sorts of tracks of various kinds. Now this almost looks like a shoe impression, maybe? Let's see, no. It's some type of hoofed creature. As you can see, they head right down to the water where somebody comes to get their refreshments. Push through this. We have more mountains this way, very secluded. We're probably 2 miles or so away from the trail where it cut off. I'm just following this creek bed down through here, because if we were to see any type of animal, I figured it would come to where the water source would be. And just look at these tracks that cut through here. So this is obviously some type of game trail of some sort. Yeah, I just keep pressing on in even further. Like I said, we're probably well over 2 miles away from the trail, and it doesn't look like there's been any humans come through this way, which I mean makes sense. As you can see, it's not an easy terrain to maneuver through. Yeah, see, this is very difficult just to be able to walk. It's sad to say, but one way you can be able to tell that not very many humans have been coming through here is there's no trash whatsoever. My feet are just sliding. Oh, hold on, I gotta get my footing here. Okay, I'm going up, going over. All right. But there's no trash, which means less humans, less foot traffic, and more wildlife. Okay, we're gonna make our way back to the trail. So I've got about a good 2 miles to push through. Whoa. Lost our hats. Oh. And I will be right back with you guys as soon as we make it to the parallel forest. Okay, we're just on the backside of that big rock that we were facing. And another reason I wanted to follow the creek bed was it's easy to get turned around out in the woods if you don't have a very good sense of location. And following a creek bed is one direction, kind of like a road. Oh, but yeah, I kind of got turned around back over in here and had to cross back over, which kind of threw me for a second, but we made it out. See what I mean? Perfect for nobody bothering you. You're just pretty much out here on your own. Now, honestly, do I believe in Bigfoot? Like I said, I grew up in the Appalachian Mountains. I've heard some wild stories. I've seen some pretty weird stuff before. Nothing in the realm of Bigfoot, but there's some very secluded places that if you wanted to go missing yourself, it's very easy to be able to do. So for something to stay hidden, especially when you're out here like this, it's not a very hard thing to do at all. There's plenty of food. You have various reptiles, lizards, frogs, snakes that can be consumed. There also is vegetation as well. And there's deer, there's fox, coyote, and let's just say you happen to come across an injured one or elderly animal, and you happen to be a much bigger creature, that's just a meal waiting for you. So I am not skeptical, because it is plausible, especially for Sasquatch or Bigfoots have been sighted all around the United States of America. And even if it's just 1% out of the thousands of eyewitnesses, that 1% has to be something if the other 99 could just be made up. Oh, let's not go that way. That's really grown up. Let's cut through this tree right here. Let's still stick to our riverbed. Something moving around over here. This is the bedding spot that we seen whenever we first were coming through. So far, we've made it back in one piece, still intact. But what we've learned just from that through there is, yes, it's easy to be able to get somewhere where you don't want to be seen. Like I was saying earlier, this place is so secluded enough that people would come here and tragically end their life. So that just lets you know how far off of the beaten path you can really get out here in the Wichita Mountains. Something was just crunching right over this way. That's me making noise. We have made it back to the main trail now. I can see some tail lights and stuff over toward this way, which is good. Means we did not get lost. Don't let me be your guide, because I could very simply get us both lost. But that did not happen this time around at all. And here's a shot of us coming out of the parallel forest. And you can see how these paths are so smooth because people had walked them. Everything that we were doing several miles that way, you could tell nobody had been that way. That was the parallel forest. We're going to go and head on to another location that is well known for seeing the Wildman of the Wichita Mountains. Let's head to the next spot. Right at this very moment, I'm standing on top of Mount Scott. This is one of the highest mountain elevations in Oklahoma. I'm going to show you the town that we were at not too long ago, Medicine Park, from this viewing distance. Okay, all the way over there, that tiny little section is Medicine Park, where we were. Where we're going to be going to next is this lake over here on the right-hand side. This is Elmer Lake. There's been several sightings of the Wildman over here while people have been camping and fishing. But as you can see, just around me, you have endless amounts where nobody is going to bother you. Here is a beautiful shot of the Wichita Mountains Like I said, it is totally plausible for someone or something to live out here and not be disturbed. There's really no human contact. Like if you were over there in that direction, there's no visitor place or anything like that. So you're not going to have any contact with human beings whatsoever. And you have all of this to be able to forage for yourself. And here we are at Elmer Lake. Behind me, you can be able to see the lake. This is also a restricted drone location, so you cannot get any aerial shots here whatsoever. So we have to do everything the old-fashioned way, which is perfectly fine. Let's go hop on foot, and we're gonna go through and check this spot out. You've got a nice little landing here where people can be able to come and fish and, you know, do a little bit of recreational stuff here. You cannot swim, but you can dive, which is weird to say, but yes, diving are allowed, but no swimming. And you cannot hunt through here. So somebody getting spooked or something getting spooked by gunfire is relatively non-existent whatsoever. But let's go get a nice little shot of the edge of this over here. All right, we are on this little trail that cuts through here. So there have been reports of the Wildman from fishermen, and on the other side of the lake where there is camping and stuff like that, he's been reported hitting RVs, knocking on trees, different calls and sounds that are not human, but almost wild or ape-like, if you will. So the gates to the refuge at night are closed, so it is inaccessible to a certain point. So if you are a wild man or person, you don't have anybody bothering you whatsoever at nighttime, you can be able to come right down here, drink, catch your own fish, and not have anyone bother you whatsoever. Just another plausibility layer to the wild man. I mean, if I was a wild person and I knew that nobody was around and this is accessible to me, why wouldn't I? I don't know if you guys can see, but right over that hill, there's a longhorn that is over there. So you've got plenty of animals, see there's scat here, that use this lake for their own benefit. Now, we're not going to go up there and mess with that guy. We're just going to continue the way that we're going. But if I can be able to get a better shot from him at a distance, I sure will. But there he is, right there. So just think, you're a wild man, it's in the middle of the night, 3, 4 o'clock, nobody's able to get in here. All of this is yours. And the lake continues all the way on the left-hand side over here where there's some RV camping and stuff like that. Up that way is Mount Scott. We were over there, so we were looking down from this spot to this lake here. Now, unfortunately, we did not capture any evidence, but that's not saying that there's not a wild man or person Sasquatch, or Bigfoot that lives in this area. It's been reported, and even if 1% of those reports are real or have some type of evidence to support that, I still feel like it's plausible. We've seen some really secluded areas. We got some really nice shots to be able to show you guys that it is possible for someone to be able to live out here. You have endless fish, water supply, food. The coverage is not as thick to have yourself covered like being in the woods if you're in California or Oregon like that. But sometimes it doesn't take a wooded area for you to be able to hide. We noticed that whenever we were walking outside of the parallel forest. I'm still on the fence that almost anything is possible. I'm more of a hard evidence person. There hasn't been enough evidence to prove it or disprove it for myself, but I like to have something that's tangible. But either way, I'm leaning. I still think that it is very probable for a wild man to live out here. Look at the mountain. You could be able to get lost if you really wanted to. Thank you so much for coming along with me. Don't forget to like and comment and subscribe if you enjoy what I do here. Also, you can be able to hit that join button down at the bottom, and you can be part of the Cheese Club and join up with us. That continues to fund all of these nice little adventures and stuff like that we go on. Normally, I'm in ghost towns or doing some type of travel like that, but I wanted to bring something different to the channel and something I'm going to continue to do more. I'm really into cryptids and stuff like that. So here in Oklahoma, there is skinwalkers, staginis, and if you don't know what staginis are, it is basically an owl creature that feasts upon the hearts of people. There's also the deer lady, which is a deer woman that brings or lures people into a secluded area and they tragically meet their fate. Also, Oklahoma has these stories of a giant octopus that lives in Lake Thunderbird up close to the city. Once it gets a little bit warmer and the wind is not as crazy, you can definitely look forward to that video in the future. So thank you guys for joining me today, and keep an eye out for that wild man.